Okay, great. Welcome everyone. Hi, I see some familiar faces. We are here today with Kim Siegel. She's an awesome yoga instructor. She is actually a 500-hour certified yoga instructor with a passion for teaching. Her yoga journey began as a student seeking an alternative way of improving her mental health. The practice became her lifelong medicine. The discovery of the awareness of breath linked with the movement of the body was a truly transformative experience. She was called to share this powerful medicine with others. Kim's classes are alignment based and offer various variations of postures, and her classes also focus on the connection of the pose with the subtlety of breath. Her intention is for students to feel the freedom to make an intuitive choice about their practice on the mat. She's also celebrating her 15th vegan anniversary this May. So, with that, welcome, Kim.
Thanks, Emma. I appreciate the warm welcome.
Of
And
course, take it away.
yeah, okay, great. Well, hi everybody. It's so good to be here with all of you. Because we're recording this class today, I thought it would make sense to demo the poses with you, but I like to offer a lot of options, as Emma talked about when she read my bio off during the beginning. So I do like to offer different variations, but if any posture doesn't feel comfortable for you or it causes any pain, just either take a different posture variation or skip the pose altogether. Because in yoga, we don't want any pain, just like for animals, we don't want them to suffer. We don't want to suffer ourselves. So just be mindful as you move along. And why don't we get started? So let's get started, everybody. Go ahead and get lying on your yoga mat. If you want to have blocks and props and stuff, I recommend a blanket, maybe a couple blocks. If you don't have access to props, though, don't worry about it. It's not required for class. But I will say, in general, props give you an opportunity to explore different variations or opportunity to support you throughout your practice. So getting started lying on the back, go ahead and extend your legs to the corners of your yoga mat. You can have your palms facing up towards the ceiling. I'll demo here if you want a visual. You're lying on your back, just like you're lying in bed, arms are by your sides. If you start to feel like your back is speaking to you or a little tweaky, you could bend your knees and literally knock the knees together, and feet are separated. I'll turn this way. So visual. Yep, knees together, feet wide. And then start to close your eyes. And this might be the first time since you woke up this morning you've had a chance to close your eyes, and allowing yourself to turn more inward as opposed to focusing outward. So while you're lying on your back, maybe take a scan of your body, starting from the soles of the feet and making your way all the way up to the top of the head. And notice how your body feels. Nice. Okay, and then we're going to take 3 rounds of breath together. So start to take a deep breath in through your nose, really expand your body all the way to full. And exhale out through your mouth. And then take a nice big breath, breathe in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Third time, take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel the expansiveness of your body 3-dimensionally. Hold at the top of your inhale. Sip in just a little more air and really hold that breath. And then gently exhale, open your mouth and sigh all the way out to the bottom of the exhale. And then begin to return back to more of a natural breath. Notice now as you scan your body if that breathing exercise changed anything in your body. Maybe you could soften a little more tension. Maybe it brought your nervous system down a little bit or calmed you down a little bit. Maybe nothing at all. Everyone's got a different experience. That's why I said at the beginning of class that that's why I said at the beginning of class that it's really important to take a stack of yourself, and as you're moving around, if you need to change your posture or change the variation of your pose, that you change it so you don't feel any pain. Just like animals and just like ourselves, we don't want to cause undue suffering that we don't need. And yoga gives us the flexibility to change or take different variations of poses to literally meet our body where we're physically at for that day or energetically at. So while we're lying on the back, let's take a full morning stretch together. So let's bring the legs together, reach the arms up overhead, bring the arms and legs together like your long line of energy, and then take another big breath, breathe in through your nose, fill up all the way to full, and exhale, sigh out your mouth. So we'll start by bringing the arms open to a T, and then you're going to bend your knees, plant your feet down on the ground, and we're going to bring the knees over towards the right side of the mat for a spinal twist. So what you can do here is you can grab a blanket if you want to use a blanket or a block. You can either put the blanket under your knees or put a blanket between your knees as you go over towards the right. If you don't have any props, you can drop your knees as far as you can over towards the right. Your gaze can go anywhere from right to left. So depending on your neck's flexibility and any sensation you might feel in your neck, you can gaze right to left. Left would be the most rotation of the spine, the biggest rotation. And then while you're here, notice the subtlety of your breath. Nice. All right, let's bring the knees back through center. Let's drop the knees over to the left. Same thing. Your gaze can be anywhere left to right. This side might feel a little bit different. So notice if you need props for the side or if you need to adjust your neck and your head. Feel that full spinal rotation here as you're twisting. Really feel your shoulder blades soften into the mat. Beautiful. Bring the knees back through center. Remove any props that you have off to the sides. And we're going to take a reclined pigeon pose, our first animal posture of the day. So cross your right ankle over your left thigh. You might stay here with your legs. This might feel like a lot of hip opening already as you flex your right toes towards your right knee. Some of you might have blocks nearby, and you could put a block under your left foot and put your left foot on the block if you want to go a little bit deeper into the hip opening. If you want a different variation where you get more sensation, perhaps, or you have a little more flexibility, you can certainly lift your left foot off the ground and hug for your shin or your thigh, bringing that in towards your chest. You want to keep your right foot flexed towards your knee, no matter what variation you're in. And a lot of I think the beautiful part about yoga is a lot of the postures are modeled after nature. So you'll hear, if you're not familiar with yoga or don't have a regular practice, you'll hear different animals called out during class, which is really fun. And the yogis really look to nature to inspire them for these poses, which is great. Go ahead and uncross your legs. And then the same thing on the left side. We're going to cross the left ankle over the right thigh. And then you can either use your block or use a book or whatever prop you have if you want to go a little more into the hip opening, or you can literally lift your right foot off the ground. Recline pigeon. Really feel, just like on the twist, your shoulder blades are plugged down, the back of the neck and the head are plugged down, and even the low part of the spine is plugged into the ground. So you feel like that connection to the earth. And take about three more rounds of breath here. Try to soften your jaw. Maybe your eyes are still closed. Maybe they're already open. Try to find a soft gaze somewhere up towards your ceiling. Beautiful job. Go ahead and uncross your legs. We're going to do a little core because everything in yoga, like a lot of postures, need core stability and core strength for them. So go ahead and release your hands behind your head. Keep your feet planted on the ground. Point your elbows up towards the ceiling. And then on your next exhale, try to lift your elbows up towards your thighs and crunch. And then on your inhale, you're going to lower all the way back down. And you're going to exhale, crunch. And then you're going to inhale, lower. And you got 8 more of these. Work with the pace of your breathing. So connecting body movements with the breath. It's another beautiful thing about the yoga practice is we try to integrate breath, movement, and movement together to feel really connected to ourselves. Nice. Once you finish those 8 crunches, you're going to slowly lower all the way down onto your back and release your hands from behind your head. And you can stay here without a block, but if you have a block for bridge pose, you're welcome to use your block. So if you don't have a block for bridge pose, we'll all pretty much start in the same place. So bring your arms beside your body, feet are right underneath the knees, and then press your feet down, lift your tush up. Now, if you don't have a block, you'll stay there. And if you have a block, you can slide a block on mama bear height, or maybe baby bear height if you have a more gentle, you need a more gentle variation, and then lower your pelvis down onto that block. If you're still holding here without a block, you want to squeeze the thighs a little bit towards one another, even though the knees are separated hips width distance apart, just to keep the knees from opening up too far to the sides. Beautiful job. Take one more breath. Now, if you're on that block, you're going to lift off the block and remove it and lower down. And if you held that pose, you're going to lower all the way down. All right, so let's get our knees into our chest. And just like a little seed, we're going to rock from right to left, massaging out the low back. Amazing. All right, so let's start to rock from head to toe, back and forth, and then come all the way up to a seat. You can cross your legs or sit on a blanket. A blanket is really helpful in yoga because it props your tushy up and gets your pelvis higher than your knees in a lot of cases. So right here, this helps from keeping the low back from rounding a lot backwards while we're sitting upright. So if you don't have a wall nearby or you don't want to sit against a wall, then you can certainly use a blanket here. And if you don't have a blanket, totally fine. So we'll start here with our legs crossed or legs extended if that's better for your knees. And we're going to start by dropping the chin down to the chest, and we're going to roll the right ear over to the right shoulder. And feel this nice sensation, this stretch right where the neck and the shoulder come together on your left side. Awesome. Let's go back through center and go over towards the left. Notice your breath. Great. And then back through center. And then we're going to go back and forth, right to left. Maybe at some point, some of you take your neck and your head and you go all the way around and make those big 360-degree circles. Just really starting to slowly open up that space. Good. Switch the direction if you're doing the full 360 circles. If you're going right to left, keep doing what you're doing. Once you feel pretty evened out, come up nice and tall. Soften the shoulders. We're going to do some shoulder shrugs. So bring the shoulders up to the ears and drop the shoulders down the back. Just like you're imagining the rolling wave of tension from your week or from your day, just rolling up to your ears and then softening that down the back. Yes, really good. Take about 3 more rounds. Great. Soften the shoulders down. Now interlace the fingers, press the palms away from your body. And one of the things that happens here a lot of the times is people, when they push the palms away, the arms come out of the socket in a way of the shoulders, like they're almost too extended. So really plug the shoulders, the arms back into the shoulder socket, get tall in your spine, and then try to slowly lift your arms all the way towards the ceiling. Now, if this doesn't work, you can bend your elbows and bring your elbows down on top of your head. Just another variation that might be a little bit more accessible. Or if this doesn't feel comfortable, you can reach your arms up overhead, just as traditional. Awesome. Okay, so let's release the arms down to the sides. You're still staying with your legs crossed, your legs extended. We're going to walk the right hand over towards the right side of the yoga mat. And then keep your left sit bone, so your left side of your tush down on the ground, and reach the right arm up, or sorry, the left arm up towards the ceiling. I'm mirroring you with the camera. And then you can take some circles with the left wrist here in space. Awesome. Let's lift the arms all the way back to the ceiling and then switch, well, lowering that left hand down, walking the left hand over to the left. Again, really keeping the right side of your tush down. And then right wrist can make some circles here. Lean back, open up, feeling that freedom from these postures. Beautiful. Come all the way back up. Reach the arms to the ceiling. Good. And then lower the hands down. Okay. Let's come forward to tabletop pose, hands and knees. I'm going to move the camera down. So for tabletop pose, you could do traditional style without a blanket. So you could have your wrists right under your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hips, the tops of the feet are pressing down, spine is long. If you have a little more sensitive knees or need a little extra cushion there, you can put a blanket down underneath your knees, or you can roll up the edge of your yoga mat. That creates a nice little blanket. Spread the fingers wide, pressing into the thumb and the pointer finger. And then on your inhale, drop your belly, gaze forward. This is our cow pose, second animal posture of the day. Feel the shoulder blades slide down your back towards your tush. And then exhale, round your spine. This is cat pose, like a Halloween cat. Press your palms down, round your spine, gaze between your legs or towards the back of your mat. And then inhale, drop your belly, shoulder blades down the back, gaze forward. And exhale, round your spine. And we're going to go back and forth doing these animal spinal undulations using this awareness and connection to our own breathing. The interesting thing is when we're breathing, even though we're connecting to our own breath, we're also breathing in the breath of all the other beings, all of nature. Just as we breathe in oxygen, the plants release oxygen. It's just a beautiful way that we work together with nature to keep ourselves sustained and alive. Amazing. After your next exhale, come back to tabletop pose. We're going to step ourselves back to plank. Now, if plank isn't a very great posture for your wrists or for your core or your legs, you can lower your knees down and take a variation of plank. Or if you want to lower your forearms down and that's more sustainable for your body, you can do forearm plank. For those of us that prefer to do regular plank or just a traditional plank, you can come to the traditional plank, hold your core, take 3 rounds of breath here, press the palms away, really lift your tush a little higher than you think. After that third inhale, you're going to bend your knees and you're going to lift your tush up and back for downward facing dog. Now, if downward facing dog is not a good posture for your body, you can come down to hands and knees table pose and take table pose instead. And down dog, you always want to have a soft bend in your knees. And actually, in every yoga posture, it's really important to have a little soft bend into your joints. Let's pedal out our dog. If you're in down dog, and if you're in table, you can maybe take some cat cows, what we did earlier by dropping the belly, gaze forward, and exhale, rounding. You imagine if anyone here's seen The Wizard of Oz, you know, the Tin Man walks around very stiff. And just like our bodies in yoga or any exercise, we don't want to walk around like the Tin Man. We want to have a little bit of soft bends into our knees, into our elbows, so nothing is locked out and stiff. Come all the way back down to your knees. Great. Now let's come onto the tips of the fingers, or if you have blocks, you can grab your yoga blocks. And we're going to step our right foot forward between the hands. This is one of the few postures where I'll cue that you can actually bring your knee beyond your ankle. So right here, we're going to lift our body up. You're going to interlace your hands and press them down into your thigh and push the lower part of your thigh away from you and maybe lunge a little bit deeper into your pose. Again, if you have any knee sensitivity, you can always use your blanket and put a blanket under your left knee. And you want the left knee a little bit behind your hip. So you're not putting the weight like this would be where you're putting all the weight directly down onto your kneecap. You do want to have your hips a little bit more further ahead so you don't put all that weight down your kneecap. And then with your hands interlaced and pressing down and away on your thigh, you can start to lift the chest, draw the shoulder blades together, gaze forward. Beautiful. Okay, let's reach our arms forward like robot arms with the palms facing one another. And then we're going to keep the left arm pointed forward and reach the right arm behind you and take a twist. Try to gaze back towards the back of the room with your left eye. It doesn't have to look as deep of a twist as I'm showing you on camera. Everyone has a very different yoga practice, and nobody needs to be at the same level as anyone else. Yoga is a very individual practice, even though we practice together in a group setting. Go ahead and lower your hands down to the mat. And we're going to take a dragon pose. So walk your right foot over to the right. I'll kind of turn on the camera too so you can see a front view. So you want your right foot over to the right and you want both of your hands down inside of your right foot. Yeah. And then from here, you can stay exactly as you are, or you can wiggle your left leg a little bit further towards the back of your room, the back of your mat. From there, some of us might grab our blocks. You can put blocks under your hands, 1 or 2 blocks, or you can lower your forearms down to blocks in dragon pose. If any of this pinches your hip, the inner part of your groin, right in here, then you can actually come onto the outside edge of your right foot and flex your right toes towards your knee. And that is a different variation that people find a little bit more accessible if you have tighter inner hips. We're going to stay here for about 3 more rounds of breath. Amazing. Come all the way back up. And we're going to step out of the pose and go back to table. Back to hands and knees. And then from table, we're going to go back to our plank, whatever plank looks like to us, and then up and back for downward facing dog. And again, you can always take tabletop pose instead of your down dog if that posture is not good for your wrists or doesn't feel good in your body. And then here, pedal out your dog going back and forth, or if you're in tabletop, you could do more of those cat cows. Let's lower back to hands and knees table pose. We're going to do that again on the left side. So you can use your blocks if you have blocks, or come to the tips of your fingers and step your left foot forward between your hands. Again, you can use that blanket, or you could choose not to use a blanket. And then interlacing the fingers, palms are down, and push the lower part of your thigh down and away from you towards the knee. And feel the stretch. Maybe some of you feel on the top of the right quad. Maybe some of you feel it in the left leg. Get real tall in your spine. Gaze straight ahead. Use this time to connect to your breathing, noticing your inhales and your exhales. Soften the jaw. Let the breath be more steady. Now we'll reach our arms forward, palms face one another, and then reach that left arm behind you, taking that rotational twist towards the left. Stay tall in your spine. Feel like the twist is coming from the space right below your shoulder blades as you gaze towards the back of the room. Amazing. Go ahead and lower your hands down around your left foot. And we're going to do that dragon pose again. So I'll show a different view on the camera. You have both hands down inside of your left foot. Left knee over the ankle. And again, you can stay here. You can use a block and lower down to the forearms, or lower your forearms all the way down to the mat if you have that kind of flexibility today. Some of you might, again, try the outer edge of the left foot and flexing the left toes towards the left knee. Lots of different variations for different people. And beautiful part about yoga, like I said so many good things so far, but because there's so many benefits to yoga, there really are. Not just the physical part, but there's this beautiful freedom that comes from choosing different postures that suit our body. Let's go back to tabletop pose, hands and knees. And then this time we're going to go to down dog again. And those of you that are in tabletop, it might take you a couple more movements to get there. But those of us that are in down dog, we're going to slowly step our way all the way forward to the top of the yoga mat. If you're in tabletop, it might take you you might have to take a different route to get there. And then in the forward fold, you're going to bend your knees. You're going to grab for maybe opposite elbows and hang down. Change the view of the camera so you can see. I'm also, you haven't met me in real life, but I am really tall. I'm 5'10", so I always had to adjust my camera for my height, depending on where I put the camera. So if you see me adjusting a lot, it's because I fit quite a lot of the frame. And go ahead and soften your jaw, and maybe close your eyes for a moment and feel your shoulder blades actually slide down your back towards your tailbone, so there's less pressure and pulling of the shoulder blades down towards the ground. And the thing that comes with choosing different postures is freedom, because it's our choice. And having the power to make a choice is so freeing in so many ways. Just like a lot of us that are on here are vegan, or maybe we're veg curious, and we chose this path for ourselves because we understand that it's important for the planet, important for our bodies, or whatever your reasoning are for making these choices. And go ahead and lower your hands down to the ground. All right, let's lift ourselves halfway. So slide your hands up towards your knees, get really long in your spine, And feel like your weight is still forward in your toes as opposed to like straightening your legs and shifting back like I'm showing you on the camera. You want to keep your weight forward, long spine, and then exhale, forward fold all the way down towards your toes. Gaze towards the back of the space. And then again, breathe in, halfway lift, gaze down, long spine, and exhale, hinge and fold forward. Third time's the charm. Inhale, lift yourself halfway, and exhale, fold. So good. All right, inhale, reach the arms all the way up towards the ceiling, and exhale, arms to the sides. Okay, great. So now we're standing. We started from a little seed. We've grown all the way up into this like tall version of ourselves. And now we're going to start to do a little bit more active movement. So we'll reach the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. You're going to take the left wrist with your right hand, and you're going to side bend over towards the right. If this doesn't feel good to grab your wrist or that's a lot for your left shoulder, you can always reach the left arm over and drop the right arm down. And stay here for an extra breath in. And come back through center, switch your bind. We're going to go over to the left. You'll notice here my hips are staying relatively neutral, and that's what you're trying to do here is keep your hips neutral, let your upper body do all the stretching. Now we're going to reach our arms all the way up towards the ceiling. You're going to bend your elbows back, drawing the elbows behind you, opening your chest up towards the ceiling. So you're opening up your heart, just like we open up our hearts to others, open up hearts to ourselves and to the other creatures in this planet, and reaching your arms all the way up towards the ceiling. One more time, straighten the arms, look up, and then you're going to exhale, forward fold all the way down towards the toes. So go ahead and forward fold, just like we did a few moments ago. And then from there, we're going to lift up halfway, get nice and long. And then you're going to plant your hands and we're going to step back. You can step back to any variation of plank that suits your body. And we're going to shift forward. So our shoulders go past our wrists and we're going to lower all the way down to the belly. We're going to take what's called cobra pose. So this might be our fourth animal posture today. Draw the elbows together towards one another, lift the chest, press the tops of the feet down. And just for this version, lift your hands off the ground. You should really feel the shoulder blades drawing towards one another, the low back talking. That's the kind of sensation we want to feel all the time in Cobra. Now lower your hands back down, keep that sensation. One more breath in, and then you can either push up through tabletop to down dog, or you can go right to a reverse plank and then back to downward facing dog. Put a little soft bend in your knees, let your jaw unlock. Take 3 rounds of breath in your down dog. If down dog again doesn't work, go back to tabletop pose. Good. After your third round of breath, we'll meet all the way forward in a standing forward fold. It's okay if it takes you a couple breaths or a couple moments to get up there. Everyone's going to be working at a different pace today. And then on your next inhale, lift yourself halfway, get really long in your spine. And then exhale, forward fold again, all the way down towards your toes. Let your neck and head really hang out here. And then we're going to slowly inhale, reach the arms all the way to the ceiling. Look up towards your hands. Yep, exhale, arms to the sides. We're going to do that again. So you're going to inhale, reach the arms all the way up. A little bit faster this time. We're going to take a side bend over to the right. Linger here for an extra round of breath. Lean the shoulder back. Beautiful. Inhale back through center. Switch your bind, go over to the left. Same thing, lean the shoulder back. Great. Reach the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Draw the elbows back behind you. Open the chest, heart forward. Wonderful. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Look up towards the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold all the way down towards your toes. And then again, inhale, peek up, get a little bit of length, long spine. And then plant your hands down, take your time, go back to whatever version of plank worked for you. If that didn't work today, come all the way down to your belly right away. We're going to meet on there, lying on our bellies, wrists right underneath the elbows, elbows draw together, lean, lift the chest up, cobra pose, gazing forward, feeling this connection to the earth, just like the snakes are grounded animals, really embodying that cobra. Press the tops of the feet down, all the way to the pinky side edge of the foot. Beautiful. Now push back to your down dog or to your table pose, whichever one works for your body. Take 3 rounds of breath in that posture. Feel like the inner thighs are spiraling up and back, and the biceps are rotating forward towards the front of the space. Great. After your third round of breath, you're going to make your way up to the top of the mat in a forward fold. Take your time. Once you're there, you're going to inhale, lift yourself halfway, get long in your spine, and exhale, forward fold. And then again, reach the arms all the way up towards the ceiling, look up towards the hands, and exhale, arms to the sides. We're just going to do that one more time, still not necessarily moving one breath, one movement, but we're moving pretty quickly. So take a side bend over to the right first, lean the left shoulder back. Great. Inhale back through center, or switch over to the left. Same thing. Awesome. Lift the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Draw the elbows back, heart forward. And then inhale, sweep the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. And exhale, forward fold to your toes, unlock your jaw, soften your face, feel your breath. And then inhale, lift yourself halfway, and then plant your hands. Last time we'll do this little half vinyasa. You're going to come forward, lower all the way to the belly, draw the elbows towards one another, lift the chest, press the tops of the feet down all the way down to the pinky side edge, gaze forward, and then push back to down dog or table pose. Nice. After that third round of breath, you're going to look forward and you can step yourself all the way to the forward fold, taking your time. No one's in any rush today. That's the nice thing about the doing yoga. We don't have to be in a hurry. We can just take our time and then lift ourselves halfway up and exhale, fold all the way down to the toes. Nice job, everybody. Let's reach the arms all the way up as we finish this last one and exhale, arms to the sides. So nice. So we're going to start again at the top of the mat. We're going to do a chair pose. So I can show you from the front view. There's two different ways to do chair with your body. So you can either have your feet hips distance apart and bend your knees, or you can bring your knees together and your big toes together. That's more of the traditional variation. But everybody has a different body. So what works for your body might not work for someone else's body, or what feels more grounded and supported here might not feel grounded and supported for them. So that's where we get our freedom to choose our variations for our own body. So here I'm doing my feet or knees, hips distance apart, sinking weight into the tush. You can bring your hands to heart center, or you can reach your arms forward and up towards the ceiling. So whatever variation is better for you, like you're going to sit back in a chair, but we're not going all the way down to that deadlift squat posture you see in a lot of the gyms. We're just going halfway back. Nice. So let's take a twist here. So let's reach the left arm forward, right arm back. Keep the weight in the heels. Keep your pelvis squared forward. You'll notice when I'm rotating, I'm trying to keep my hips squared forward. I'm not moving the lower part of my body as much. Nice. Now reach the arms back forward. And again, keep your hips squared as you take a twist to the left. Open the arms, gaze back. So good. All right. Reach the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. And exhale, forward fold. I'm schwitzing after that one. That's a tough one. All right, inhale, lift yourself halfway, and then plant your hands a lot and bend your knees a lot. And then either use your hands or use blocks. And you're going to step your left foot to the back of the mat like a runner's lunge. Your hands are down around your front foot. There you go. Hands are down around your front foot. Right ankle is over right knee is over the ankle or behind it. And then you can either lower to your back knee and go back to that posture we did at the beginning of class, the Anjaneyasana with the back knee down. Or if you want to keep your back leg lifted, we're going to lift our torso up. You won't be able to get a full angle of my body there, but you get the idea. Knees over the ankle, torso's long. You can either stay here or with the hands at the heart center, or you can lift your arms up over your head. So it's really up to you. Again, this is your practice, this is your time, and it's your decision what you do with your time on your mat. And it's amazing how empowering it can be to have this, to understand that the choices that we make, whether they seem very simple to us, are still very, very powerful because it's our choice and our decision. So in yoga, we get to choose all the time what we do on our mat, and nobody else can tell us otherwise or force us to do anything. Sometimes we stay a little bit longer because somebody else in the room is staying there longer, or we feel this competition. But honestly, if we soften the competition and think of it more as we're all just making our own choices for our own bodies, it can be a really, really beautiful thing. So see, we're gonna open up to Warrior Two. Let's do that. So Warrior Two, I'm gonna just turn the camera down so you can see my feet. Warrior Two is different than Crescent. So Crescent, your pelvis is squared forward, you're on the ball of the back foot, your feet are like they're on skis. Now we're more in like a snowboarder posture where the right heel is in the middle of the back arch. So our feet would look like a T if they were touching. And then the right knee is either over the ankle or behind it. And the arms are going to come out to a T for Warrior Two. Yeah. And there's a lot of, and the freedom we find on our mat, that decision making, that power that we have to choose our postures can be a very liberating thing to feel in our bodies. And just like the freedom and liberation of the celebration with Passover, we have that connection with yoga as every time we practice, that freeing ourselves, making these choices, empowering ourselves. It's just such a beautiful thing. And straighten both of the legs and turn the left toes in slightly. This is where you might grab for your block if you have access to a block. If you don't, that's okay. You can grab onto your pant leg or you can hover your hand, but we're doing triangle pose. So you want to check at your feet. You want to again make sure your feet are just like they were in Warrior Two, but the left toes are slightly turned in. That helps to plug the left leg back into the hip joint so we're not overextending right there. A block right under the hand gives you a little bit more space if you're tighter in your joints, and you want to bend both knees slightly. So just unlocking gently the knees, unlocking our joints. And then start to lean back from that space right below your shoulder blades. Now you can gaze forward straight ahead, or you can look up towards your left hand, towards the ceiling, if you can find that rotation in your neck to be suitable. And start to really breathe into your back body here. All right, let's take one more breath into the nose. Exhale, rise back to Warrior Two. We'll do one more pose here. Let's put, bend your right knee back, just like you were in Warrior Two, and then lower your right hand down to a block, or hold on to your leg, or put your forearm on your thigh. So there's 3 different ways you can, there's really 4 or 5 different ways you can do this. You can even put your hand all the way down on your yoga mat, but not all of us have that flexibility. So some of us might have our forearm on our thigh, some of us might hold the ankle or the leg, reaching that left arm up and over the ear, or up towards the ceiling if that feels better for your body. Nice. 3 more rounds of breath. Really soften your jaw. Let the breath be a strong part of this moment. Awesome. We're going to lift all the way back up. I'm going to adjust the camera view. We're going to do a goddess pose. This is great for your hips. So you're going to bend your knees. Your toes are pointing out. Toes are pointing out towards 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You're bending into your knees. You can either bring your hands on your thighs or bring your hands to your heart. And then hold here. Awesome. Turn the toes slightly in. Straighten the legs. Bring your hands to your hips. I'll turn so you have an alternative view. Draw the elbows back behind you. Lift your chest up towards the ceiling. Soften those knees slightly and then start to hinge from your hips and forward fold all the way down. You can lower your hands to blocks. You could lower your neck and head all the way down. You can release your hands from your hips at any point. And here you want to bring your weight more forward into the ball mounds of your feet, so the heels don't have quite as much weight. Nice. We're going to take a lion's breath to release any tension in our jaw and in our breath and soften our faces. So let's take a big breath in through your nose. Stick out your tongue and sigh out your mouth. Okay, if it sounds a little silly, but it's okay to have some fun in yoga. It doesn't have to be all serious. Soften your jaw. Take 3 more rounds of breath in your forward fold. Okay, when you're done, you can bring your hands back to your hips or anywhere you need to and slowly rise nice and slow all the way to standing. And then from this wide-legged stance, you can either step or jump the feet together. Great, and then we're gonna meet at the top of the mat in a forward fold. So get all the way back to the front of your yoga mat. You can have your blocks nearby if you're gonna use them to step back. And then either bend your knees a lot, plant your hands on the ground, or use your blocks. And then step your right foot all the way back to the mat, the back of the mat, runner's lunge. And slowly start to lift up to crescent warrior, or if you preferred the back knee down, you can take back knee down, Anjaneyasana. Same posture, just different poses for different people. So sometimes we do yoga postures if you've practiced regularly, or maybe if you've been to a studio before. Sometimes it feels like there's competition from other people around us. Sometimes we feel like we have to ignore our own body's messages because we're trying to fit in or we're trying to keep up with everybody else in the room. But the truth at the end of the day is that we're all in different places in our lives and in our bodies. So what works for one person might not work for us. And when we have the power to choose and we know we can choose what we need to do for our body, it's just it's such a freedom that you can't describe. It seems so small in the grand scheme of life and all the other freedoms that we have, but just to be able to acknowledge the choice and listen to that choice is connecting to ourselves at a different level. Okay, so I've talked enough about that. I think we're going to open up to Warrior Two now. So left toes are forward, back foot's parallel to the back of the mat. Again, when we're moving from crescent or Anjane to Warrior Two, you have to adjust your feet. They say in yoga that everything in the postures that are standing starts from your foundation, which is your feet. So if your feet are misaligned or aligned, it'll impact your posture upwards. So left heel, middle of back arch, arms to a T. Okay. All right, Warrior Two. Beautiful. Maybe you flip your palms this time. So notice if that rotation of the palms softens your shoulders a little bit. Beautiful. Let's take our block if you have one or not, and then turn your right toes in slightly and straighten both legs. If you have a block, lower your left hand down to the block. Otherwise, you can hold on to your pant leg or onto your leg. And we're going to reach the right arm up towards the ceiling for triangle pose. Soften both of the knees just a little bit so you're not locking out your joints. Lean back from that space right below your right shoulder, or right below your shoulder blades. You guys are doing so fabulous, everybody. Good job so far. Made it through a really good chunk of yoga, the yoga practice. Notice how your body feels after doing, 40 minutes so far, 45 minutes so far of movement. Okay, let's do Warrior Two again to get ourselves set up for side angle pose. So lunge back into your left knee, and then either put your left forearm on your thigh or lower your hand down to the ground or a block. Keep lunging into the left knee so you have that bend there, and then reach the right arm up, or maybe you reach it up and over the ear. Pinky side of the hand is down and the thumb is pointed up. Lean back here. Notice how leaning back creates more space for your breath. Perfect. All right, let's come all the way up to goddess pose. Bend your knees, bring your weight into your heels, and either have your hands at your heart or hands on your thighs. So good. This is a hard pose. Ooh, all right, straighten those legs. This time for another variation of the forward fold. So you can either keep your hands on your hips like you did earlier, or you can interlace your hands behind your back and draw the shoulder blades together. Maybe you lift your arms off of your back, look up towards the ceiling, lean back no matter which variation you're in, and then bend your knees, lean forward, whoop, forward fold. Nice part about forward folding is if you start to fall forward, you can catch yourself with your hands. All right, and soften your jaw. You can release your hands at any point, or you can leave them in the bind or you're on your hips. It's really up to you what you choose to do with your time and your fold. And that's the thing, is that when we come to yoga, we don't have to impress anybody. We don't have to look for these perfect postures we see on social media. We just need to keep listening to ourselves, listening to and following through on the choices that are best for ourselves. All right, go ahead and lift all the way up to standing. Take your time. So nice. And then again, you can step or jump the feet together. Great job, everybody. Okay, let's come down and start doing some more grounded postures. Thanks, Lee. I'm so glad you got to join today. Come on down to your tushy, and we're gonna do some forward folding and some hip opening, and then we're gonna go down to Shavasana. We're gonna leave some time at the end too. I didn't say this at the beginning, but we're gonna leave some time for some meditation too. So last couple seated postures before we go on to our backs again. So you can use your blanket if you want to use a blanket, and you can fold it up however you want to fold it up if you're using one. I usually fold it up once or twice, like a rectangle, and you can sit your tushy down on the blanket. And if you don't have one, that's totally fine. You're gonna extend your legs long, but you're literally gonna take your hands underneath your tush and remove some of the flesh. Move it off to the side. We've all got it. Might as well just embrace it. And then put a little bend to your knees, and stay up tall for now. Lean the shoulders back, draw the shoulder blades slightly together, get tall in your spine, and then reach the arms all the way up towards the ceiling, and exhale, start to forward fold. Now, in this forward fold for today's variation, we're going to try to keep the spine long, which means we're trying not to round forward like we have a tendency to do when we're sitting at a desk. So shoulder blades are down the back, hearts forward. Think about tushes back, hearts forward. Some of you might have ropes or straps that you brought with you to class. So if you can't quite reach your toes, you can use the strap like an extension, like a go-go gadget arms for your feet. I don't know if everyone's going to get that reference from whatever show that, what movie that was, the go-go gadget hands, go-go gadget arms. And you can gaze towards your toes, or you can gaze down towards your knees. Let's take 3 more rounds of breath in this fold. Okay, when you're done, slowly lift all the way back up. I'm going to turn to face the camera for another view. We're going to actually bring the soles of the feet together. If you're on your blanket, you can still stay here. This is a really good opportunity to observe. I have a very open pelvis. I have open hips, maybe a little bit too open. So my knees drop right down. So this kind of posture is not very difficult for someone that has my body type. But a lot of us have tighter hips. And so we might use our blocks, put them underneath the knees for this posture, or we might even scoot our feet a little further forward to adjust our pose. So everyone's postures are going to look a little bit different, and that's okay. So just find a place that makes sense for you, and then you can either stay upright, try to keep your hands on your legs or on the ground instead of pulling the toes. Or if you want to do a forward fold, you can, again, try to keep your spine really long here as you start to crawl your fingers forward. Again, thinking about tushy back, heart forward for your folds. And then you can gaze down towards your hands if you're forward folding, or you can gaze ahead if you're staying upright. Maybe you close your eyes here and really connect to your breath. When we're connecting to our breath, we're also connecting to the breath of all beings. Everything recycles itself, and the breath is one of those things that recycles across so many different places. So good, everybody. You guys are doing so fabulous today. I love this. Let's come all the way back up, nice and tall. And let's do one more thing here. We'll do a wide-legged forward fold so you can extend your legs long. If you're tall like me, you can take up all the space. Anywhere you are, take up all the space. You can still stay on your blanket if you want to stay on your blanket. Flex your toes towards your face. This one, you can use your legs like an extension of blocks instead, or like something to hold on to, almost like their own prop. And you can start to slide your hands forward, gripping onto your shins, gripping onto your ankles. And then you can gaze down towards the ground. Of course, if you're already feeling something in your hips, you might just stay upright where you're at. Nice. All right, everybody, let's slowly lift all the way back up and bring the legs together. And we're going to go onto the back. You might want to have a like a block there for bridge pose. If you have a block, you might want to have a blanket for Shavasana if you get a little chilly, because that's coming up soon. And then bend your knees, plant your feet down on the ground. You can either lift the tushy like we did earlier and slide the block underneath. That's more of a restorative bridge pose. If you want to play, you can interlace your hands behind your back and shimmy the shoulder blades underneath and push your knuckles away from you, getting really long in your arms and drawing the shoulder blades together to open your heart space. And if that doesn't feel good or you don't want to do that today, that's great. You could keep your arms by your sides or any other variation that makes sense for your body. Awesome job. Let's take one more breath here and exhale, slowly lower all the way down to your back. Good. The last thing we'll do before Shavasana is we'll take a candlestick pose. So you can lift your legs up towards the ceiling. You could either scooch to a wall for this one if you like to be at the wall for candlestick. Some people like to put a block underneath their bodies here. Personally, I don't prefer that option, but it is a variation of the pose. You can put a block on mama bear height or baby bear height and lift your legs to the ceiling. You can hold the backs of the legs with your hands. You could use a strap and hold the backs of the legs with a strap. There's lots of different ways to take these postures. Most important thing, is you're listening to yourself with your choices, with the decisions that you make on and off your mat. And yoga is a really good tool to help us tap into our inner strength and the power within us to make choices that are suitable for ourselves. So really nice job today, everybody. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze and a hug. You can rock from side to side like a little seed. Very nurturing pose. Good. Let's see. We got just enough time. Good. So we're going to make our way down to Shavasana. Shavasana is our final resting posture. We're going to take a longer Shavasana and then we're going to do a little meditation and prayer at the end. So we'll take about a 2 to 3 minute or maybe about 2-ish minute Shavasana posture, and then we'll head into that part of class. So in Shavasana, you have a couple choices. You could bring your legs to the corners of the mat, palms facing up. Alternatively, if that, again, doesn't feel good for your back, you can bend the knees, bring the knees together, feet wide to help soften your low back. And then if there's any other posture or any other variation of Shavasana that feels good for your body, you can go ahead and take that pose. And then soften your eyes. We're going to take a round of breath together as a community. Even though we're not together physically in the room, connecting to each other using our breath is a powerful way to connect across screens and across the world. So let's take a nice big breath, breathing through your nose, filled all the way to full. Hold at the top of your inhale. And exhale out through your mouth. And then here, stay with your eyes closed for about 2-ish minutes. Try to focus on either sounds you hear in the room or your breathing. Okay, let's start to bring awareness back to your body. So you can start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. We'll reach the arms all the way up overhead, get really long in your body. Take a nice big breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Let your arms and legs soften. We're going to slowly bring the knees into the chest. You can either rock from head to toe and come up to a seat, or push yourself onto one side and come up to a seat. We're going to do a little bit of a meditation here. So you can sit down on a blanket, you can put your back against a wall. It won't be for very long. So I encourage you to take this as an opportunity to sink into yourself for a few minutes before we close out with prayers. So come on up to a seat, get against a wall or use a blanket or anything that you need. You can bring your hands to rest in your lap. Your legs can be extended if crossing your legs doesn't make sense, or seated if seated makes more sense for you, in a chair, or legs crossed. And close your eyes. Take a breath in through your nose. Gently breathe out through your mouth. And then as you sit in meditation, just like in Shavasana, find something to focus on. So it could be your breath, could be the sounds in the room around you, could be feeling your body connecting to the ground or to your chair. And the goal of meditation is not to not think, counter to what we might believe or might have an idea of meditation. The goal is, when the thoughts come up, to redirect your thoughts elsewhere. So when thoughts arise, focus on your breath or the sounds around you. Okay, slowly bring awareness back to your body. You can keep your eyes closed if you'd like to. Take a second to bring your hands up to your heart and let your thumbs rest at your sternum. Take a scan of your body from the sit bones to the top of the head and notice any shifts and changes you feel in your body from practicing yoga. From the breath, it could be the body, it could be our mindset, and especially after meditation. So keep your thumbs at your sternum, bow your head forward towards your heart center, towards your inner light. We're going to do two prayers today. One is for Pesach, for Passover, and the second one is another blessing we do for all beings everywhere in yoga. It's a very traditional one. So for Passover, for the blessing for all animals is, may God make you like the great creations of God, the small and the large animals. Meditate on that for a moment. And then we'll do our yoga prayer, our yoga blessing. So, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some ways to that happiness and to that freedom for all. So thank you everybody for joining and for practicing today. You did a wonderful job, and I hope this was a really nice session for you. And as we say in yoga, namaste.
Namaste and amen to the prayers. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Kim. That was lovely. I hope everyone had a nice time. And Kim, if people want to find you, where can they find you online?
You can find me on Soaring Siegel Yoga is the name of my Instagram and Facebook and my website. So I just put it in the chat there. So soaring, like soaring eagle, but soaring seagull yoga.
Cute. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope everyone has a great Passover and a restful rest of your weekend. Bye.